Can you hear me now? So sorry. Let me know if you can hear me. I never have mic problems. I used my computer for, an appointment earlier, so I had to change the settings. Shoot, I never have a problem. I've never come on here and been like, "Can you hear me?" Because I've never had that problem, so sorry, guys. Here we go again. I could probably edit that out, I guess, but okay, so we're gonna sit here for a couple of seconds just in case I do edit it out, and we're gonna start all over again. So you guys probably could read my lips probably because I say pretty much the same thing every live, but welcome in everybody. Hopefully you guys are having a great, what is it, Monday? I don't know what day it is ever, but it's the 22nd. I do know that. So if you're new to the channel, my name is Tanya. We do talk true crime daily, and I was pointing to my dog because I usually don't have her here. I usually have the brown or the gray one. So you're in for a treat. And you can kind of see the edge of my desk there. So don't mind that. But yeah, I've got my brown dog in here. Her name's Araya. I don't know. I just call her the brown dog so you guys know. But if you're into true crime, that's what we talk about on the channel. If you don't mind, take a second, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you do appreciate the coverage. And we'd love to have you be a part of, our subscribers, our Titans. We got a good crew here. Throughout the live, I will throw in the link for our membership. If you'd like to join our membership, we'd love to have you there as well. So yeah, here we go again. Another one. How you doing, Aries? You got surgery this week. I was thinking of you today. We are going to be talking about Idaho 4, and welcome in everybody. Let me say hi to you guys. I'm like off my game now because of the sound. Hello, darkness, my old friend. I thought someone said that. I think you guys did. Hey, Cat's Life. Hey, Tammy. Hey, Otto. I saw Cheryl was in here. She's mad earlier. Hey, Ashley. Hey, Spilled Beans. Hey, DM. Hey, Catherine. Welcome in, everybody. Otto. We got S Mother here. Welcome in. Just sit down and eat yummy salad. Oh, grilled chicken. That sounds really good. I was craving a salad earlier today. Topic I said no sound. Sorry, guys. I've never had that problem, I'm glad everyone told me. I never look, and what the thing is, I never look at the chat until like I get a little bit of my stuff out, So welcome in everybody. Real McCoy's here. We got everybody here. That's great. Karina Gibbs, we got everyone. Lorena. Okay. Well, welcome in. Hey, Doodlebug. Hey, Cat's Life. Hey, Frenchie. And did I say hi to you, Mary Beth? Happy Earth Day, Mary Beth. I saw that you put that in there. I should have planted a tree today. But I did buy some vases for plants. I don't know. That doesn't really make it any better. Stuffed peppers. Oh my gosh, Kaylee. My mom used to make stuffed peppers. I'm not a big fan of them, but my dad used to love them when she would make them. So I do have I have a question. Actually, I think what we'll do is we'll do like a little bit of something different. So normally we read through the documents, but I don't know. These ones are just they're kind of a bore. I'm not going to lie to you. So what I think we'll do is we'll read like an article and it's going to sum up everything because basically there's like 4 new documents, but 2 of them, or there's 5, but 2 of them are just like a redaction, like redact it, seal it, one of those things. So I thought, maybe if we read this, because I found this article and I was like, oh, it touches on everything. So I was excited to see it. Your daughter makes good stuffed peppers. Oh, I had French fries. What the heck's up with me? I worked out today. Dang it. I deserve those French fries. I worked for those French fries today. I worked hard. You'll eat the inside of the pepper. That's funny. My mom used to love that. My mom and dad. She used to make those. I haven't heard of stuffed peppers in forever. But yeah, there are new documents that came out, and I will I'm going to show them just like so I can read the top. But it's for the motion order prohibiting contact with prospective jurors. And then they have the order allowing defense surveys to continue, and then amended order setting briefing schedule. So we got a court date and we got a couple cool documents. Well, one of them is pretty interesting that we can go through. And I figured, I'll just read this article and then we'll see what we have in there. And also I have a documentary. The third part of that has like Mark Furman in it. I have like the third part of that. So we'll watch that this evening as well. It's called Digital Shadows, Bryan Kohberger's Online Secrets. We'll see what they say. But like I said, we are going to cover the case, the Idaho 4 case and trial of Bryan Kohberger against Bryan Kohberger. As we all know, Bryan is charged 4 counts of first-degree M and 1 count of burglary for the November 13th, 2022 stabbings of Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogan, Ethan Chapin, and Xana Kernodle. Just the beginning of this month, Bryan was back in Latah County courtroom arguing that potential jurors needed to be unbiased. The defense put together 400 questions and they did like a telephonic survey. And they called 400 Latah County residents, and they asked them 9 different questions. And I think the questions are all in there. They are all in this article. So I'll just read them in the article. So I don't have to double read them, but I do have them all wrote out as well. So only after a couple of the survey takers contacted, the police or the prosecution, they contacted somebody on the prosecution side. They asked, are these real? Like, what's going on with this? Like, why are people calling me, asking me these questions? And that's how the prosecution found out. So it's kind of dirty, I feel like. It's like walking a very thin line. And I feel like, I don't know who's running that courtroom at this point. I don't know if it's Judge or if it's Ann Taylor. But it sure as hell ain't no Bill. Come on, Bill. Come on, Bill. Poor Bill. She's doing a pretty good job so far. I'm not going to lie. For given what she's got, she's kept him from going to trial. She's kept him from saying anything to anybody. She's kept his family quiet. It has to be hard. It has to be hard, like trying to keep everybody quiet and don't say anything, T-Saw has been a member for 5 months. That's amazing. Next month, your arm will change, your little titanium arm. You'll get the rainbow one. That's when you're in. Actually, you're in the first month. You're in it. We try to keep you. So I'll read through this article and then we'll go over the survey. And if you have any questions for me, let me know. It's just kind of like a relaxed sort of live. Hey, Harlow. Bryan is running the show, Linda said. I'm beginning to think. Are you from Hawaii, as mother? If you are, I'm jealous. Oh, I love your cat too. I'm a cat person. His family's are probably ashamed. Yeah, well, his sisters lost their jobs, that's according to sources from like Dateline or whatever. But they said that his sister, like both, I don't know if both of them did or one, but I know they're saying allegedly, I know one got fired. Now, I don't understand how that that cannot be legal, can it? Like, just because what if my brother went and did something? I don't even talk to the dude hardly. I love him to death, but you know what I mean? Like, that's him, not me. I just feel like that's kind of wrong. That's pretty wrong. Also, I'm sure that the mom and dad have taken a major hit with their careers as well. I don't even know if they're still working, but they live in the Poconos, and that's not very cheap to live there. I remember my mom used to talk about going there when she was young, like a teenager, and she always referred to it. I think there was like skiing there or something. She'd always say, we went to the Poconos. And the way she said it was just like, oh, it must have been a really like expensive place. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but the way she made it sound. Because we're from Philadelphia. So we're from Pennsylvania area. We are from Pennsylvania. But we're not by Bryan Kohberger. We're on the other side of the state. I think he's closer to Ohio side, and we were closer to the other side. The place of their employment probably didn't put up at that circus. That would be attached to the case. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But I wonder how they did it without being in trouble, without getting in any trouble. Like I just feel like that's so wrong to do. Like his sisters, they didn't do anything wrong that we know of. They did it. He stole one of his sister's cell phones. Ooh. But that's when he was younger, so I don't know. I think we all do stupid stuff when we're young, so I can't really hold that against him. But it usually escalates. But here it says, so lawyers for Bryan Kohberger. Oh, and I'll let you know ahead of time. They get to go on. They get to continue their survey. Basically, is what I'm going to tell you tonight, and it got me pretty fired up. Got me fired up for good reason, I feel like. Let me see here. Okay, so lawyers for Bryan Kohberger, the man accused of stabbing to death 4 Idaho college students in 2022, can continue their survey of prospective jurors in the state the judge overseeing his case has ruled. Kohberger's lawyers had hired a consultant to conduct community phone polling ahead of his upcoming capital murder trial in order to gauge the attitude and potential bias of people who could one day decide his fate. in my opinion. And Taylor put that survey out so that she could get a change of venue. That's what I think. The survey, which had become a source of pretrial contention, can now proceed without changing any of the questions, including the 9 with which prosecutors have taken issue. And that's the 9 that we got, we're privy to. The defense may continue its surveys without modification to the survey questions. Judge John Judge, overseeing the case, said in his order, filed Friday and posted to the docket Monday afternoon. Judge had put the so-called non-dissemination order in place to preserve Kohberger's right to fair trial in the high-profile case. The goal of the gag order is to ensure a fair and impartial jury can be impaneled so the defendant receives a fair trial, Judge said. If defense counsel believes asking these survey questions, which arguably contain prejudicial information or misinformation about defendant, is more beneficial than harmful, as the defendant's expert testified, this court does not, at this juncture, have sufficient information or evidence to second guess that strategic decision by trial counsel. So basically, he's saying this could be more harm than good for you guys, because there's questions that are like, a little bit misleading and things of that nature. So I wonder. And I mean, 400 people, I feel like news could travel pretty quick. Like in a small town like that, I know there's like, what, 50,000 people there. So there's a pretty good amount. But I mean, most of them, like, half of them are students. And every single student in that school knows about this. So I don't know how like fast that would be like travel around. So it says here, previously, prosecutor Bill Thompson, leading the case against Kohberger, argued some of the survey questions commissioned by Kohberger's defense had effectively poisoned the opinions of 400 local community members beyond repair. He said in document and in court that some of the pollster queries not only violate the gag order, but that a few of the questions spread false information about the case and could foster a false impression amongst potential jurors. And I didn't even know that before this case you could do that. Like you could go out and ask questions like this. I never have heard of this, so I don't know. Very, very weird. I mean, it's new to me. It's just new to me. But for them to go and not tell the judge that they're doing this, not tell the prosecution that they're doing this, they hired in a third party, which they didn't need to be disseminating any information to. We're not supposed to disseminate information. We're supposed to be protecting Bryan Kohberger's right to a fair and impartial jury and fair and impartial trial, I mean, but now that's probably what's going to be next. Like, all the survey questions, they favored that he was going to be innocent. So we want to move it. I don't know, like opposite, how it can be with these guys. Kohberger's lead attorney, Ann Taylor, argued their poll questions were based on information obtained in the public record and discussed in the media, and moreover, the fact that some of the information was untrue was part of the point, since Taylor said the rumor mill can influence opinion as effectively as fact, and gauging bias is exactly their aim, determining whether a local jury pool could be fair and impartial. And I do have something to read you guys in the document here in a minute, one of those documents, if it's not in here. Here's how the judge assessed the 9 questions at issue in his ruling. 6 of the questions came from the probable cause affidavit, which is publicly available, thus asking about it does not violate the gag order. 1 of the questions was not based on admissible or inadmissible evidence, but instead asked about the feelings of community members in Moscow, Idaho, where the killings allegedly occurred. They did occur in Moscow, Idaho. Therefore, it did not violate the gag order. What do you mean allegedly occurred? He's allegedly innocent or guilty. We know that the murders happen in Moscow. Who wrote this? Very weird. The remaining 2 questions, which asked about certain media items, were read into the public record and discussed at length during the recent hearings litigating the survey, including the fact that these media items may not be true, the judge said. Because the information is now in the public record, the court does not see any benefit in preventing the defense from continuing its surveys or requiring that the 2 questions at issue be eliminated. Kohberger's team will now be able to proceed with their survey, which is part of their larger attempt to convince the judge to move the trial to a different county, arguing the local jury pool has been tainted by pre-trial publicity. That survey, Kohberger lawyer Taylor has said, already determined that the Latah County pool of potential jurors would not be able to be fair and impartial in this case. Now, Taylor has said they want to assess potential bias in other areas of the state where it could be heard by jurors who have not been exposed to more than a year of news coverage about the case. It doesn't matter where you move it, Ann Taylor. If you're, anywhere in Idaho, they're going to know. They know everything, every county. But go ahead. But go ahead. Prosecutors, for their part, have argued the national, if not international, attention this case has received makes moving it from one Idaho county to another futile. Remember, I forget the number. This was maybe 6 months into the case. It wasn't even 6 months in. It was like 3 months in. And they were giving us the statistics of how many people was talking about this case, like how many true crime YouTubers. And then it was like how much pull we all had, like how many views our videos were getting. And because the first few months, Idaho was like off the chain. It was crazy. It was crazy in here every day. Every live. It was crazy. But I like the difference of opinion, of course. Because if, we all have the same opinion, that's not going to be fun. But it says, objecting to some of the survey questions, Latah County prosecutor Bill Thompson read 9 examples aloud in court, which he said concerned their team immensely. And I do have the questions, but they have them here. Question, okay. Have you read, seen, or heard if Bryan Kohberger was arrested at his parents' home in Pennsylvania? Have you read, seen, or heard if police found a knife sheath on the bed next to one of the victims? Have you read, seen, or heard the DNA found on the knife sheath was later matched to Bryan Kohberger? Have you read, seen, or heard if Bryan Kohberger owned the same type of car recorded on video driving in the neighborhood where the killings occurred? Have you read, seen, or heard if the cell phone tower data showed that Bryan Kohberger made several trips near the victim's home in the month before the killings? Have you read, seen, or heard if university students in Moscow and their parents lived in fear until Bryan Kohberger was arrested for the murders? Have you read, seen, or heard if Bryan Kohberger said he was out driving alone on the night of the murders? I'm sorry, that one makes me laugh because we've all heard it. Have you read, seen, or heard if Bryan Kohberger stalked one of the victims? Have you read, seen, or heard if Bryan Kohberger had followed one of the victims on social media? Now, I feel like these questions, they're trying to say that some of them are untrue. I think that they all could be true. They're not they're pretty specific. Like they're not giving little hints. They're giving little hints as to what happened. Like maybe the question should have been asked more like, have you heard who they've arrested for the Idaho murders? I don't know. Like word it differently. It's just it's like, oh, did that happen? Did that happen? Did that happen? And like she said, some of these are true. Some of these may not be true. Like, the stalking. We've read it though. We've seen it and we've heard it. So, yeah. Have you read, seen, or heard if Bryan Kohberger followed one of the victims? All of these are yes. They're all yeses for me. I've heard all of that. Maybe don't put me in the jury, but I've heard it all. Did I read the rest of that? I don't think I did. Sorry. Prosecutors allege that in the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022, Kohberger, then a criminology PhD student at nearby Washington State University, broke into an off-campus home and stabbed 4 University of Idaho students to death, Ethan Chapin, 20, Madison Mogan, 21, Zayna Kernodle, 20, and Kaylee Gonzalez, 20. After a 6-week investigation, police zeroed in on Kohberger as the suspect, arresting him in December 2022 at his family's home in Pennsylvania. He was indicted in May 2023 and charged with 4 counts of first-degree M and 1 count of burglary. At his arraignment, he declined to offer a plea, so the judge entered a not guilty plea on his behalf. Kohberger faced the death penalty if convicted. His lawyers have said their client wasn't in the home where the homicides occurred and was out driving that night. And now he was stargazing, so, Lawyers also say they have expert cell phone tower data analysis to back that up. A trial date has not yet been set. A hearing on Kohberger's request for a change of venue is set for June 27th. So they have to argue. There's some things they have to argue too. So let me show you that. I wanted to show you something. Like they were talking about, they said something about YouTubers in here. And one of the documents, and I forgot about it. I was going to read you that part. I just got to find it. Maybe it wasn't this one. Maybe it's this one. But I thought it was like, it kind of made me giggle. I don't know if I can find it. Here we go. Is this it? No. It just said like something about YouTubers and disseminating misinformation. I must have not have highlighted it. But I mean, it is true. I mean, there's only 3 documents. I don't know why I can't find it. Because, I'm looking for it. I'll have to find it later and post it to the community tab or something. But now I want to find it. Is it? No. Well, dagnabbit. I'll have to find it. But yeah, I was like, oh, they talking about us. Huh? They talking about all of us. I'm lumping you in with me. Okay, yeah, I can't find it. I'm really upset about that, but that's okay. I should have highlighted it, but that's all right. That's all right. That's okay. So we will go ahead and we'll watch the trying to think of what it's called, documentary, I guess, podcast, documentary. It's not a podcast, it's a video. It's on Fox Nation. We were doing it's like a 3-part series, but you don't need to watch part 1 or part 2 to get to part 3. That's what we're on right now. And it is his like digital, it's supposed to be his digital stuff. So everything that's like, and on the web. We don't know for sure, I don't think, but they're going to tell us what they think. So we'll listen to them. Lorraine, I've never heard of visual snow before this case either. Me neither. I'm learning a lot of new things I'm learning a lot because my first case was Kylie Rodney and I came in on a big case and I was unprepared. Do you know what I mean? Like I think I did a really good job covering it, but I was unprepared. And then Idaho happened right after, Quentin Simon. So it was like, it was one after the other. Anyways, welcome in. Dang nabbit, I really wish I would have found that thing, but that's okay. Maybe I can look while we're watching this. That's what I'll do. I'll look for it. Let me go ahead and share this with you guys. And if you have any questions, let me know. I'll be in the chat with y'all. And if you guys would like to join our channel membership, we'd love to have you. I'll put that in the chat. If you guys don't mind just taking a second, hit the like button, all those good things. Let me actually duplicate this and then. Okay, skip the ad. Okay, there we go. That way it was on here for you. And it might be a little loud. I'll like turn it up slowly so it's not too loud in your ear.
Four victims.
Police in Idaho were investigating the deaths of 4 University of Idaho students. Their bodies discovered in an off-campus home, what's being called a crime of passion.
A suspect in custody.
New details around an arrest in the brutal University of Idaho quadruple murder. The suspect is 28-year-old Bryan Kohberger. He studied criminology at a university near the murders.
But what was their connection?
He's on social media, he's looking at the victims.
Every time they're doing videos, was he present? How many burner accounts did this person have?
Social media is designed for people to look at each other.
This is the new singles bar. This is the new Applebee's on Friday night. But you don't know who you're talking to.
Social media.
Hold on a second. Who went to Applebee's on a Friday night to find someone to hook up with? Tell us your secrets. Tell us now. Who went to the Applebee's on Friday? I've never heard that before, Mark Furman, but okay. I think we went to bars, actual bars, not restaurant bars.
Is the new.
What are you doing, Mark Furman?
Personality disordered people flock together on all of these platforms. They thrive.
These people are dropping breadcrumbs. We like to flip their worlds upside down.
This is going to be the social media murders.
For criminals, the digital world offers anonymity and a space for dark ideas to flourish. It's a place to connect with like-minded individuals and learn how to commit the perfect crime. Some use it to find their prey. Others use it to stalk individuals they already know, but not well enough. In this special, we're going to investigate suspected murderer Bryan Kohberger and the online connections he developed with the 4 victims: Kaylee Gonsalves, Maddie Mogan, Ethan Chapin, and Xana Kernodle. We'll offer insight into his social media accounts, cryptic Reddit posts, an alleged research survey, and discuss the impact they'll have during the trial. We'll also explore how much of a role technology has on violent crime. Is it a tool to help criminals or a means for them to get caught? Well, of course, we're going to talk about the Moscow murders, but there's a unique area that we're going to cover now, and that is social media. With me is a social media expert, Chris Ruby, Paul Murrow, retired Inspector NYPD, and Lenny DePaul, retired United States Marshal. Thanks, everybody, for being here. So we know that really, of the 4 victims, Maddie and Kaylee were really the most active. They're on all these different websites, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. So if they're throwing their images out there, and then you have suspects that don't know them at all, but they see something that keys into their obsession, their desire, their passion, their anger, whatever it is, we no longer have to have that one-on-one contact.
You said if they don't know him, what if they do know him? I think they'd be all over him like a cheap suit. I believe these platforms were public, right?
They were not password protected, and I can tell you that because I went on it. Kaylee's TikTok gave you a pretty good insight into what life was like in that house.
That's 9-10. Guys, can anybody drop me class? I'm fucking late for my meeting. I'm supposed to be good 10 minutes ago. Did anybody do their chores today? Fuck, I'm just gonna do it. Oh, shit, you guys. It's 8. Gotta go.
Social media really allows for a new level of digital voyeurism behavior in general.
I mean, how many people are just watching others on social media?
And it's not always just your friends.
These girls appeared to not necessarily be social media influencers, but then again, who isn't a social media influencer these days, right? Who is putting their entire life out there and racking up likes.
One of the videos shows all of the girls in the second floor area, which kitchen area, there's 2 bedrooms up there, etc. What you also see, though, is the sliding doors that lead out to the back. And some of the theories about the case argue that there was an opportunistic aspect of it because of how well the house was situated.
If you're doing videos of your house, you're broadcasting to everyone. This is exactly what my house looks like. Here's a map of the house. And that information can be really dangerous if used in the wrong hands.
Kaylee actually told fellow students that she was being physically stalked as well as being contacted online.
That's right. And it was one instance where somebody was following her to a car, apparently.
Yes, at the grocery store. We just don't know it's Bryan Kohberger.
A classmate of Kohberger at Washington State describes him as, quote, confident and outgoing, but super awkward and always trying to fit in and show others how much he knew about criminology.
Does it surprise any of you that there's been not one female that has said she's had a relationship with Bryan Kohberger? So
No.
where did...
Now, Mark, we've got his Tinder date. They weren't dating, but they went on that one date. And he was trying to tickle her. Now, maybe he was just awkward, you know? I don't know. I don't know about that. I mean, it's something... I don't like to be tickled. I don't like to be tickled at all. I'd probably punch someone. But I could see why she was a little weirded out by it. But I forget her name, but she had the red hair.
Does that fit into the social media?
Yes, it wasn't a Tinder
I
match
think
like
that
me.
people who are rejected in the real world dominate and win on social media. There's a crossover with online predatory behavior, with online trolling, and I think that they take out their anger and rage on new victims.
Well, they described Bryan Kohberger as an incel. All of a sudden, the word incel now became a violent person, but that's not the definition. It's just somebody that they are basically celibate.
Not having a relationship with a human being. They may have relationships with technology.
What do you think Kohberger is seeing when he's online? Now, let's just try to be him for a minute.
He jumps in with 2 feet. He's on social media. He's looking at the victims.
As the investigation moves forward, there is also a new report that Kohberger repeatedly sent direct messages, or DMs, to one of the female victims through Instagram 2 weeks before the murders that appeared not to have been opened, according to People magazine.
Social media by its nature is look at me, right? If he even communicated with them, it comes down to what you're going to characterize as stalking.
I would love to see if he watched their Instagram stories. Do we know that?
Well, I think the police know, but I think that they're not saying.
Well, we need to see a clear pattern of evidence that it was unwanted contact, right? And so one of the things I saw in this case, at least with Instagram, is that apparently the messages went to an other folder, so they were possibly never seen or read. But I would like to know if at any point there was a communication where someone said, stop contacting me.
There's indications Kaylee's father, Steve, had some knowledge of that, but they shut him down and they didn't want him to talk. One of the hallmarks of social media is gaining access to someone else's life. But just how much can you learn from the pictures and videos? Does somebody like Kohberger, do they actually think they know the people?
Yes, 100%. This is their entire life, especially if they're not social, if they're not having dates. Their entire world is online. A lot of times they're not really leaving the house other than to maybe get groceries or to go to school or to work. All of their social interaction is on social media. And that's where they derive power from.
But sometimes the line between online and the real world begins to blur. In the weeks before the attack, Kohberger's cell phone pinged near the house 12 times. According to the reports, he came so close he was even able to connect to the victim's Wi-Fi.
So he knows from looking at the house and in the TikTok video that, okay, there are sliding glass doors that allow access to that house. And if he goes and looks at that house, he's going to see,
You don't need a
wow,
TikTok
I
video
can
to
watch
see it.
them from this little bit of a rise. TikTok only helped him get to that point.
That's how he makes entry. Yeah, no, it's a good point. Yeah.
Do you think that those 12 times that he's actually at King Road, do you think that he is engaged in their social communication at that moment while he's watching them? Would that be a thrill for somebody like this?
Define thrill. What do you mean by
Well, I think everything is an escalation. You don't go from, I can't get a date, to murdering 4 people. So there's got to be an arc.
So the thrill would be some communication or contact. That's what I'm not seeing.
Or rejection.
I believe that he would have needed something to trigger him, where he got angry and was filled with rage.
We know that he went into the restaurant where Maddie and Xana worked on at least one occasion.
I have not seen anyone say that they knew he existed.
Well, you don't need to see him talking. It's them talking to each other. Hey, what about this nut that showed up at the restaurant tonight? If there was some sort of conversation, she wants tips, she's going to be nice, right?
The girls had other men around them in their lives. So in his eyes, every man existed except for him. And I think that could fill someone with complete rage.
So you don't think he had an ongoing social media conversation with them?
He could have, but have we seen that?
The stuff that you're talking about wouldn't necessarily be visible to us right now.
With the ongoing gag order in the case, investigators have not responded for comment.
Although it's unknown how many times Kohberger crossed paths with the victims the night of the crime, he could have been tracking their locations without ever having to leave his apartment in Pullman, Washington. So, Chris, there's a thing called geotagging. Can you explain this, and how would this benefit a stalker or a suspect?
Sure. So geotagging is the practice of tagging your location on a social media platform where, like on Instagram, you can just scroll up, click location, and tag the exact building, location, area that you're in. And so if you're doing 10 different stories a day on Instagram, every time you're going to a new location, you could be tagging that location. That's incredibly dangerous because you're broadcasting, here's where I am, here's what I'm doing, and here's who I'm doing it with.
Kids are so open about where they go to school, where they hang out after school, where they live, what their room looks like, what their house looks like, what apps they're on, etc. And if you did have malign intent, you've got the keys to the kingdom.
Engaging at all and letting anybody know anything about your house, your habits, your conduct, your work, your schedule is just an opening to be stalked, burglarized, raped, or murdered.
From that perspective, I would just echo what they're saying, but from a fugitive investigator's point of view, keep putting it out there.
What has Kohberger shared about his own life online? What sites does he frequent? What types of accounts does he follow?
What's his behavioral aspect on social media? How's he talking to people? What's he saying, right?
What
Victims.
time, too?
Times are important.
Is he up at 4 a.m. on social media sites?
And then there are the other apps that the prosecutors have dropped legal process on that they must have some indication he was active on. Hinder, Twitter, Dropbox, Yik Yak, Reddit, Facebook, TikTok. An interesting one to me is this Strava one. Strava is an exercise app. Strava also has a GPS element to it.
During the afternoon of November 13th, 2022, just hours after the murders, Kohberger drove 84 miles to Johnson, Idaho, which buds up against the Nez Perce National Forest. Cell phone towers can place a user in general vicinity, but they can't pinpoint a specific location.
Some of those zones are
Look at all that water.
20 miles square,
Good golly.
but a GPS can be a meter.
Could the GPS coordinates from Strava give authorities more insight into the exact location?
He said he had an OnlyFans.
Johnson, Idaho is a reservoir area. There's quarries up there. That means water. We don't have the knife. We don't have the bloody clothing. He didn't even have a shower curtain in the Washington apartment. There's a lot of evidence missing that would have to be there.
There's been indications that after the murders, he was actually engaging online, correcting people. What kind of a personality would actually engage after you got away from the scene?
A narcissist.
He was involved in this Reddit account where he was putting out, for lack of a better term, disinformation. He's telling people, "No, I don't think it happened at that time of the day. No, they're looking at the wrong type of guy, etc." And it looks very clear that he was trying to shade interest off of anything that could lead to him.
Although law enforcement has not been able to verify the validity of the specific posts, this wouldn't be the first time Kohberger has taken to the social media site to discuss violent crime. In May of 2022, only 6 months before the murders, Kohberger asked criminals to complete an anonymous online survey on Reddit about how and why they break the law. I interviewed somebody that does this and has interviewed 32,000 criminals. He goes, I wouldn't ask half these questions. What was it about this crime survey that just stood out to you that this is odd? It doesn't fit.
Right away, the thing that stands out to me was the timing. This was released apparently in May of 2022, and then the person graduates in June. It was just a flashing red flag there.
Kohberger's approach for gathering data also raised eyebrows.
If you think about the research process, usually has to go through an ethics review board, and that can take weeks, sometimes months. And survey online is a methodology that we use, but it's not one of those that you're going to post and then 100 people are going to come and answer the day after, right? It's a slow process.
Somewhere in the June area, he is reportedly buying a K-bar knife online. And now he has this survey that's active. Is it your opinion that this survey is more personal and or entertainment than it is useful schoolwork?
It does look like it was posted through pretty bona fide
Now, this is confirmed, the DeSales University. I mean, we all know that was Bryan Kohberger.
software that we use for survey methodology. It has the institutional logo on it. It looks very official, but I would say that's my opinion that it wasn't used for his master's research.
There's a few questions that kind of jump out at me. You're doing a survey to talk to convicted criminals or people that got away with a crime, but he's saying things that have to do with the planning and execution of the crime, which to me are a little odd. When did you first make contact? When did you see them? How did you get inside? It speaks of somebody almost trying to have somebody either educate them or excite him.
I was curious as well about those questions, and just for the sake of scientific inquiry, I try to imagine, is there any scenario in which I would be asking those questions? And I couldn't really come up with a reason.
Kohberger is actually fantasizing about the crime he commits. He wants to be reinforced that these people are out there that haven't been caught doing his survey, and reinforce that I can commit this crime and then I will not be caught.
And the thing about fantasy is not something that just comes out of nowhere, right? It's something that usually lives in the person's mind for a long time, and it takes different shapes and forms. When you're talking about personality traits, it's not something that you just see a shift when you're 28. You see a lot of those antisocial, narcissistic, borderline traits from a young age, and then they just really evolve over the years.
And on this survey, he's asking criminals, how you feel? Are you depressed? How do you feel after the crime, before the crime? Is he actually looking for a group of people that he can identify with? Because he certainly can't identify with mainstream America.
It could be an aspect of trying to normalize how one feels, right? Because if other people feel the same way, then I must be okay. It could even be a way of just finding that sense of community, because two brains are better than one. If they are interacting with other folks who have criminal thinking as well, they might feel less odd, and they also might find an opportunity to just bounce ideas back and forth.
Is this less about a survey to find out something intellectually about violators, or more a how to get away with something or actually execute something?
Yeah, because to me, these questions, they are for steps, right? That's what the questions are asking. So in a way, it's almost like, what is your recipe?
Even stranger, how would Kohberger know if the individuals responding to his questions were actually criminals? Wouldn't false data interfere with his research?
This is posted on social media. Who knows who's answering this, right? So in terms of rigor in research, is this really where I want to go to tap into the information?
You could get somebody that's 14 years old that's got a lot of good ideas because they've read and watched way too much TV, and so they throw an idea out. He might just be looking for great ideas that he can include in his plan that maybe he forgot or he didn't think of.
Is it something that it was a precursor to refine a plan? Was it something that served perhaps the idea of getting validation or connecting with others who think alike? Or maybe it's all of the above.
How did you get in? How did you find the victim? Did you go in a window? Did you go through a locked door? Did you use a pass key?
If that's only a criminology study, that would make sense to me if it stops there. But you're asking, how are people feeling? What were people thinking about when they decided to target? You're screening for depression. You're screening for mental illness. You're screening for personality traits. That is not something that we would normally do.
And most likely, not something an ethics board would even sign off on.
I don't think my ethics board would approve the survey because it doesn't have much clarity. And usually an ethics board, they will be pretty picky about every single question. They want to see how that is reverting or coming back to the original intent of the study.
You've been highly informative about this whole survey, and asking you this may be unfair, but do you think that Kohberger will testify on his own behalf in this case?
I anticipate that yes.
Can somebody with his mental defect, because anybody that would commit a crime like this has a mental defect, can get up on the stand and effectively defend himself and convince a jury that he is, one, not crazy, and two, not the killer?
I don't necessarily think that someone to commit this type of crime needs to be mentally ill. I think it's important for us to separate mental illness from sadism and psychopathy. It's easier for us to cope in day-to-day society with the notion that only quote-unquote crazy or mentally ill people can do this, when it could be your coworker or your classmate.
They're just waiting out to act what they've always felt.
Those who are the true, pure psychopath, there's no treating it.
So let's return to the Moscow murders. So Kohberger goes from being a rejected teenager to a 28-year-old graduate student. We didn't see how he actually graduated from being rejected to obsession. There's no killing of small animals. There's none of this stuff we see with serial killers. There's none of this conduct, prostitutes, hanging around certain areas. Then all of a sudden he acts.
I think we do see a course of conduct. It just may not involve killing an animal or prostitutes.
How many cases do you think where the social media is connected to a violent crime that are not pursued and prosecuted?
Thousands and thousands of cases. Clubhouse was a social audio app where people would connect in real time, almost like a live podcast. Twitter Spaces has the same feature too. Now, there were numerous times where users like myself reached out and said, there's stalking taking place. Someone is really going to get hurt. A woman and her husband were killed by a stalker, and it was connected to Clubhouse. And that was ignored. But that's because I don't think the actual stalking definition really adds up in a social media driven world, because a lot of times you don't have that violent threat. You need that violent threat in order for someone to pursue charges or take this seriously.
That's right. It even gets even murkier because, like, what is a threat? In some circuits, the metric is, does the person feel threatened? In other circuits, does it look like essentially a threat to a jury, a judge, et cetera?
Prosecutor is going to get out of bed to prosecute a case like that.
There's too much you can't attribute to a face. You're attributing them to a computer, and they can just simply say, somebody stole my computer, somebody stole my phone. When you have so much data being exchanged, how does law enforcement actually sift it out and find the suspect? It's 10 times worse than a needle in a haystack.
Generally, the leading aspect of the entire case comes out of the real world. Sure, some cases develop purely cyber, but the Kohberger paradigm is far more common, which is, we're looking at this person for various other reasons. As part of it, let's have a look at this person's social media.
They've got into his computer and they've broken that down, the hard drive. And I think he's probably reached out in the past to multiple females.
One of the things that's interesting in this case is when you look at the search warrants or subpoenas, you don't actually see one for OpenAI, which is fascinating. So I don't know if that means that ChatGPT wasn't actually used on his phone.
Explain really, where is the crossover between artificial intelligence?
People look at AI or ChatGPT almost as their therapist, but so much more than searching. This is the type of thing where if he was using AI, he could have been asking very detailed questions, much more so than we even see on Reddit. So we just don't know yet because that hasn't been explored.
So in kind of wrapping up, I can see the value social media has for law enforcement in two ways. To document somebody like Kohberger, like when he became active, how he stalked people, how he identified people, and a clearinghouse for clues. Where are we going with social media?
You don't just have to be a convicted murderer for someone to psychologically profile you and everything that you're doing on social media. When you actually read through that long list of everything that they're requesting, most people don't really think about that when they are using all these devices. And granted, this is not going to happen to everyone, but if it does, you are documenting your life and putting it out there for anyone to take and use against you in a court of law. And I think that people really need to consider that before they broadcast their life online. What is the price of being a social media influencer?
Well, I think the case, it's going to actually set some standard for social media.
We talked about it in the first session that we did for Fox Nation, that a lot of this was going to happen in the digital world. And I think we even said this is going to be the social media murders.
I was just curious of what it said at the end. I didn't know what it said. I was like, what did that say? I thought it was something like, you know, that we needed to know. But yeah, so if you guys want to watch this, it's on Fox. This is foxnews.com, but it's like Fox Nation. I got the app or whatever whenever we started Idaho 4 because Nancy Grace, which she's in the closet again looking down on me like our, you know, our Lord and Savior. She really is. She looks like she's like looking down on me like, here I am. Everything's okay. So I showed you that picture and I'll show you again of the Snake River. I don't know if this is like, this one might be in like Wyoming or another state because it goes through a few different states. But isn't that beautiful? Look at this little guy on the canoe or the kayak canoe thing. Like, does it get any more peaceful than that? I'm allergic to Fox News. Solo, I don't watch Fox News normally either. It's way too biased. I didn't realize that a news station could be like that biased. I mean, I watch it and I'm like, really? Which I don't mind who likes who, but I'm just like, dang, I'm not even on the screen. You know, I'm over here like hand gesturing to myself. Oh, okay. It must have been a glitch. Well, it was earlier. The whole live was a glitch. I didn't realize my mic wasn't on. I was actually going through my speaker of my MacBook, so I'm surprised you guys didn't hear me a little bit. Cobes. I like how you call him Cobes. Squeaky. He did fail. Yeah. I think he thought it was going to be a little bit different than what happened. I think when he went in there, all hell kind of broke loose because no matter how much you prepare to do something usually happens. You know what I mean? And I'm surprised we didn't get any Google searches yet. But I swear, if we got Google searches, we need them. We need them in this case. We usually get them in every case, but I don't think we're going to get them in this one. I think he's going to be too good for that. But you never know. He may have been kind of dumb and decided, you know, to pull a Tiffany Adams, and maybe he got burner phones and he thought they would work. Speaking of Tiffany Adams, we're going to go over that case again tomorrow. Just like there's Nancy Grace put out a video and I want to watch it with you guys. And it goes over like her allegedly, you know, police affidavit says that she confessed. So it looks like it's going to be like just going over the whole case. And there's like a little bit, I think, some new updates. Now, let me see if this is on YouTube yet. I was about to take us off that screen. That wouldn't have been fun. Oh, I have something else to show you guys too, because there's another court date. And I'm going to show you what they have to bring to the table. I forget what I was looking for. I totally forgot what I was looking for. I can't even remember what the heck I was looking for. Oh my gosh, guys, I'm losing my mind. We're just going to move it on to the next. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm losing my freaking gourd. If you remember, let me know. And where's this? Where am I looking for? Okay, let me find it. It must be over here in the finder. Because we do have a court date and they have to have things submitted at certain times, which if they get a continuance, I'll be upset. Yeah. That's true, Squeaky Wheel. I think that them getting him on camera is going to be essential to this case. That and all of the like all of the cameras coming from his house to Moscow where, he turned his phone off at a certain point, where he turned it back on at a certain point. I think that's going to be crucial. Like telematics or whatever in this case is going to be crucial. Now, they say if your car don't have a navigation, it won't show that, but I think that it still will show. Now, his phone won't until he turns it off. Like, it'll show where he's at until he turns it off. So I was reading the chat. I think he thought he was going to outsmart the local boys. Yeah, not planning on the good old boys bringing ISP and FBI into it. Yeah, they immediately too. Is it possible that we already know all the evidence they have against BK? I asked because AT seems so confident he's innocent. How could she fight so hard for a murder? They all do, Doodlebug. I couldn't be a defense attorney. I couldn't. I mean, if somebody was innocent, I would want to be there. But if someone's guilty and they're guilty, I couldn't defend it. I would. I'm not a good liar though. I would be like, he's innocent, and I'd be smiling or something. So I think that it can be, but he doesn't actually have a GPS in his car. He doesn't have like the navigation. Whenever he got pulled over, and the stop in Indiana, you could see his front dashboard. There's no navigation there, but I think if it's navigation compatible or something, I don't know if that's even a thing. We'll have to look into that. I want to know about that more because his dad had his cell phone in his lap, and I'm pretty sure his dad's cell phone was open to the Maps app. Like they were looking at his phone to kind of, guide them home. So I'm wondering. Unless the batteries are removed. Oh, wow, PKC. I didn't know that. Hey, Riddler, thanks for gifting a membership. Welcome in. Welcome in. Good to see ya. Good to see ya. We got new cases. You'll have to take a look. New cases. And I hope your mom's well too. And you are well. Like a black box in the car. Yeah. Yvonne. And it's really weird that like with those black boxes, they never checked it. When I was in my car accident, they never checked that. I don't know why they didn't. They should have. They should have checked that. Should have checked it. So this is one of the new documents. I forgot to show you this earlier. So it's just a hearing motion for change of venue. So the big one, this is going to be a big hearing. They're saying it's going to be June 27th at 10 a.m. So it'll be 1 here. Yeah. So 1 p.m. here, Eastern Standard Time. That is 10 a.m. Pacific. The hearing will be in person, open to the public, streamed on court's YouTube channel. It says defendant's opening brief, witness list, and any evidence the defense wishes to present in support of the motion for change of venue must be filed by May 31st, 2024. The state's response brief, witness list, and any evidence in opposition to the motion must be filed by June 14th, 2024. Any reply by defendant must be filed by June 20th, 2024. So they're like, he's like getting it in like 7 days before the change of venue will be held. But it sounds like it's going to be like a long court hearing. Because you already know if Jay Logston's in here, he's, oh my Lord have mercy. Jay Logston. He's going to want to talk. Anne's going to talk. Maybe even the lady that sits there that I don't even know her name. Maybe she'll talk. Does anyone know that lady's name? What is her name? I'm going to find out really quick. Let's see if it'll even names her. Let's see. Of course, it's not going to give me their name. No, I know Jake Logston and Taylor. I just don't know the other lady's name. We'll find that out one of these days. No one else knows it either. She's just the girl that sits by Bryan Kohberger. That's what I think of her as. Like, he always seems like he's like kind of uncomfortable when she's like sitting by him. He's way closer to Anne. You can tell, and I almost think that he thinks of Anne maybe as like someone that's going to save him. Maybe like a mother figure almost in a way. Like she's going to help him get out of all this trouble because his own mother isn't there to help him. I mean, I still don't get that. If my mama did not come, you know what I mean, to help, like to come save me from, if I was in jail with like 4-5 charges like this, I mean, who cares about the burglar at this point, but 4 murders? My mama would have been like, my daughter didn't do that, and I'm going out there to save her. Or she'd say, my daughter did this, and I'm going to go out there and try to save her. But No, she sent me to the firing squad. She wouldn't care. You think the FBI has all the movements on his car? I think so too, baby girl. I think so too. I think there's going to be a lot of technical, digital stuff, and we're going to learn a lot in this case. Oh, my dog's rubbing her face. Here. Oh, she has her paws on her nose. Mariah, why are you being the cutest for? I don't know if you can see her, but she's rubbing her nose on the bed. Oh my gosh. She's being so cute. Her nose itches. I've never seen her do that. Oh, I love her. She's my girl. She needs me. Like my other dog, Mia, doesn't need me. She needs me in life. Like she's scared of Mia. I don't understand it because she'll fight any dog in the neighborhood except for Mia. And Mia won't fight her because Mia's a big baby. She's huge. So she will like just be really weary around her. It's so funny. I'm like, why are you guys like that? But I'm surprised she came in tonight. So I moved her bed over. That's okay. You can catch up. We're about done anyway with the live. I do want to go over the case of Jillian and Tiffany, not Tiffany, what Jillian and Veronica. Sorry, my brain just went to, I was reading the reading Tiffany Adams. So it says here that Nancy Grace's her title, Killer Granny, Suspect Bloody Ambush, 2 Kansas Moms, Taser Burners Bulldozer. And now I remember what I was looking up. I wanted to see if Nancy Grace had the video out on like if it was on YouTube or if it was just like a podcast. So I know if I need to get pictures together. Yep. Good for us. We'll listen to the podcast tomorrow. Unless it comes out, you know. Richard thinks the case against BK is bogus. I wonder why some, I don't know. Like, I mean, I think the difference of opinion is awesome, but I just wish I could better understand people's logic, like, you know, behind it. That's what I don't get. Yeah, they don't go for the DP unless it's a solid case. I think that Bill Thompson is just getting started. He was a little sassy last time in the courtroom, and I was impressed. He got a little sassy there, and he was like speaking up, and he had some good arguments. I think Judge is really just letting Anne get a lot of these things in, you know, because I don't think he wants to change the venue. I think that's why he's letting her continue with the survey so that he can show, hey, we all know about it. Just keep it here. Or we'll ship jurors from outside in. I don't know where they'd all stay at hotels, but you only need 18 jurors, you know, alternates and everything. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just crazy. This is a crazy case. Now, it is dying down a lot more than, you know, it's a lot less. I think people like, you know, a lot of people cover it still, but I don't know. There's not like a ton of new information, but there is. If you're wanting the technical stuff, you know, and you want to know all like the background stuff, I think that's what it is now. But yeah, and I wonder what they're going to do with the house, like the housing location. Has anyone heard anything about that? Because, I mean, they should do something there. They should put a parking lot for the students, something well lit so they don't have to drive up. That's what they were wanting, like some of the people that were asked, like in the neighborhood. And they said like a little garden or something there. I think that would be nice. They could do tulips. Yellow tulips is one of the flowers. We had yellow tulips. We sat them on the thing here. Vincent bought them for all of us. I don't think there'll be a change. I really think they want to bring that money into that county. That's a lot of money. It's going to be a lot of money, but I think it's going to bring a lot of money. Yeah. Yeah, he does have a smile and an attitude. I like Judge's quirkiness. He looks almost like little kid-like in a way. Do you know what I mean? Like he's like, I don't know, boyish looking. And he just kind of like giggles almost. Like he'll grin and he just like lets him go. I just think it's kind of funny. I just think so. I was just reading the chat, but yeah. Anything new in Richard? Oh, let me see. I haven't looked into that case in a while. It got crazy and I just got back behind the paperwork and I'm like, okay, someone needs to get me caught up. 3 days ago. Oh, would you look at that? I don't know if this is true, but it says Richard Allen reportedly made confessions to inmates, guards, attorneys, say he was in state of psychosis. So it wasn't just the wife, wasn't just his wife that he called, and then he threw his iPad down on the ground. He was like, I'm not messing with it anymore. I'm going on a hunger strike. No. I guess he confessed to everybody. Richard Allen reportedly made incriminating statements to both inmates and guards during his time in prison awaiting his double murder trial. His attorneys want these so-called confessions suppressed due to claiming Allen was in a state of psychosis. Now, you can't possibly say that. You're not a doctor, you're not a psychiatrist, you're not a psychotherapist. How do you know that he was in a state of psychosis? You know what I mean? I'm not saying that they're doing him dirty there. I mean, he's lost a lot of weight, but he could be doing himself dirty. I don't know. What do you guys think? So Allen is accused of unaliving 13-year-old Abby Williams, a 14-year-old, Liberty German, near the Monon High Bridge. And I did take video at the Monon High Bridge. I went there. It's like 6.5 hours from me? 6 hours? Or is it 3? Let me check. It was a while. It took us a while to get there. But it was worth it. Like to go there to see what really like where they were 3 hours and 11 minutes. And the old bridge is still there. Like they have the new bridge, but I didn't realize the old bridge was still there. So it was very emotional, like very emotional because you walk up on this new bridge and you don't notice it at first. And then if you look ahead, you're like, what? Huh? And it's the side that they were on, like the side that they were down on. It's just so bad. Let me see if this is anything else. It says previous reports have detailed how Allen reportedly admitted to killing the girls during a prison phone call to his wife, but his attorneys have repeatedly claimed Allen was under physical and mental duress at the time, and his statements couldn't be trusted. Well, though, we'd have to say that for every inmate that gets charged with unaliving somebody. For the most part, they're all little nuts, when they first go in. But this wasn't the only time Allen made incriminating statements. A new filing reveals that Allen also reportedly made further confessions to guards and inmates during his stay at Westville Correction Facility. Allen's attorneys are pushing for these confessions to be suppressed, however, stating in their latest motion that the poor conditions Allen was kept in compounded his deteriorating mental health state. He was only in there 6 months. What do you mean? He went in October, the end of October. This was the beginning of April. Y'all, man, I don't know. I want to say that they got the right guy. I know that there's so much craziness going on, and I don't really know all of it, and I haven't read all the paperwork, so this is just my opinion. I haven't read everything yet. I probably haven't read the last, I don't know how many documents have come out. We read the really big one, then we read 5 or 6 more than that, and then it was I got behind, so it's been a little while. I'm going to get caught up on that case, and then I'll get you guys caught up, and then we'll make sure we get back into it. Because this trial is supposed to be coming up. I don't think they got a continuance or anything. I was just going to see if they had it in here. It doesn't say. But I thought it was May 13th. Unless they changed it. And me and Jan were going to go, but I don't know if we'll be able to get in. I heard that there's a ticket. You get a ticket, like a lottery or something. I don't know. All I know is if Bryan Enton's there, we need to be super glued to him because he always gets in for everything. Yeah. By head doctor, I mean mental health doctor. Can you imagine? Oh, man. I mean, I think, I don't know. I guess we all think over here. But I mean, it's just, there's too many things. I don't know. I think he looks like the guy. I think he looks like the height. I think he looks like everything on the bridge. That's just me. I think personally he had a gun. I mean, we all heard it, and that's how he got him down, around the hill. And then whatever happened there. I don't think that everything that's been put out there by the defense or by whoever leaked it is necessarily true because supposedly crime scene photos were leaked. We only saw them, and thank God, I don't want to see. I don't want to see. That's not, I don't want to see. But I only saw the F in the supposed bodily fluids. You know what I mean? I didn't see anybody laying on the ground with a big, tree branch on them or anything like that nature. So I just didn't, I don't know. But now if those things are all true, I just don't know how one person would do that either. Because I mean, the way they were describing it was heavy, like heavy, logs. I've been there and it's open, but it's not. It's secluded, but you can still see through the trees. Do you know what I mean? It's not like it's dense forest. Like you would see someone doing that for sure, I would think. But I don't know. But yeah, say a prayer for me tomorrow because I have to go to the dentist. It was bad. I was eating a freaking grape, guys. A grape. I can't even eat healthy. I don't even usually chew on that side. I get so nervous. And then I cracked it. Like I broke the filling out and then I cracked it on the back a little bit. I was like, Vincent. I screamed for him last night and he took a picture and he's like, it's cracked. And I lost it. Y'all, I lost it. I cried. I was bawling. And I was like, not screaming, but I was like high pitched voice, like, I'm going to lose my tooth. Like, but I hope I don't. They better not. They better just, because I've had a root canal done on it before. So just say a prayer. Your guys' prayers always work. They really do. Yeah, I'll be damned if I don't ask you guys for some prayers when I need them. But thank you guys all for being here tonight. I really appreciate it. Look, I've got a smiley face on my shirt, so that means I'm going to be happy. You never know. Tomorrow's going to be a good day. I'm going to go up there. I have to be there 8:30 a.m., so I have to be up at like 5:30. So I'm going to go to bed here soon. But thank you guys for praying for me. You guys really do. The prayers freaking work. Every time I've asked you guys for something, like with my teeth especially, y'all, it's worked. But thanks again for being here. I'll be back tomorrow night at 8:15, 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will see you guys all then. Have a good Tuesday. Have a good rest of your Monday. And have a good day. Bye, guys.